and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast, where I am helping you set up a minimalist Zettelkasten, which is setting up a real-life Zettelkasten in the fewest number of possible steps. Well, today you might be surprised. Last time you added your first 3 card numbers, and today I bet you thought you'd be putting on some more card numbers. No luck. Next time, but not this time, because there's an important intermediate step that we have to go on. We aren't making a toy Zettelkasten. We aren't making a just pretend Zettelkasten. We're making a real Zettelkasten in the fewest number of steps. And that means that we cannot eliminate steps that are required to get a successful Zettelkasten. So this time might surprise you a little bit with where we're going, because we're going to take our 3 core areas and take a look at our wider reading plan that we have before us in those same 3 core areas to see if our core area needs to be divided into subject areas within the core. I'll take you through all the steps using the core area of business, and I'll take you through all the steps using the core area of understanding how the mind works. So those 2 core areas will both be broken down into separate subject areas, and I'll show you what we're going to do once we do that. So come on over to the down-facing camera, and I'll show you what I mean. See you over there. So these are the books that I gathered together for my core area of business. This came from my foundation card number 2. I want to set LiLLiPub up on a solid business foundation, and these are some of the books that I have gathered that I would like to learn. Some of them I've read, some not yet, that are in my learning plan for business. When I look at these books, I realize that they fall in certain categories. This group is planning and goal setting. This group is on leadership, and this group is on community building, because LiLLiPub is a community. And I realized when I looked at these 3 core areas that I was kind of missing a rather important subject area, bookkeeping and accounting. Where are my books on bookkeeping and accounting? Not yet having any, I identified a few and made a physical page describing the book, thank you Amazon, that will stand in for having the physical books. So now I know the 4 areas that I need to coalesce my reading around to have a well-rounded study of business so that I can put LiLLiPub on a sound business footing. You see, it's all based around the purpose. Okay. So we gathered our books around the topic of business because I want to set LiLLiPub up on a solid business foundation. So that's my core area, and I gathered the books that I have ahead of me on my reading plan for business and identified a number of areas, subject areas to be studied. The books divided into planning and goal setting, leadership, community building, and that necessary afterthought, bookkeeping and accounting. So what am I going to do with these different categories? Well, here's how I'm going to handle this. We're going to follow a plan that we've already done a couple of steps. The first step is consider the books you plan to read in the core area. You can see how I rounded those up. Do they break into logical subjects? Yes, they do. Now we need to make a foundation card for each subject. We know how to make a foundation card. A foundation card, it tells us why we want to learn about the subject, what's our purpose, provides our reaction, gives a source, which I just use r.pr in the current date, and has a full tagline at the top of the card. A foundation card is a special kind of a main card. We made foundation cards already for our 3 core areas. Now we're going to make additional foundation cards for the subjects within our core area. So what if I began with that one that I almost left off, bookkeeping and accounting? Let's build the foundation card for the subject area of bookkeeping and accounting. So my first step is why I want to learn more, and I want to learn more about business, bookkeeping, and accounting so that I can keep the books for LiLLiPub and launch her successfully as an LLC. Next, my feelings or reaction. So I gave my own personal reason. My dream is for LiLLiPub to serve its members and to outlive me. Now I need to add the source. So now I've got the source, which is just that it's a personal reflection today, and all that remains is the tagline. And now my foundation card for the subject of bookkeeping and accounting in the core area of business is complete with the tagline, I hope to set LiLLiPub on a sound accounting foundation. Using this same set of guidelines for creating a foundation card, I will also create foundation cards for planning and goal setting, leadership, and community building. And you will see those cards when we get back together again for the next lesson. Here are the books that I gathered around the core area of how the human mind works. This group, including a cookbook, are gathered for the purpose of understanding design as a communication tool. This group in the center, including one that's on order and not here yet, are around memory. This group over here, this book started me off in the series, plus two more, one on order and one I hope to get at some point, are around pattern language. Now, all of these obviously do not encompass everything about how the human mind works. These are merely the subcategories that are in my direct reading plan at the moment. As more categories come in, they will be added. Philosophy might be a very likely category that I would be reading in the future. Linguistics was an area that interested me for a long time, and I might get back to that as well. I would probably categorize those as well in understanding how the human mind works. Okay, so then for our subject area of how the human mind works, we went through the practice of considering the books that we plan to read in the core area, and we broke them down into logical subjects, and we came up with design, memory, and pattern language. And so now what remains is to make a foundation card for each subject. And as before, we know how to make a foundation card. We're going to tell a little bit about the subject area, why we want to learn about it, our feelings and reactions, our source, which for me is just going to be PR in today's date, and then a full tagline at the top. So let's do those subject cards. So following our plan for making a foundation card, I made a foundation card saying why I wanted to learn about design as a communication tool. I gave my reaction to it, which related to my personal use for why I wanted that to be true. I provided the source, which was a personal reflection today, and I gave it a tagline, good design can aid in understanding. I won't go through each of the design cards for memory and pattern language, but I can assure you that I will make them and they will show up in our next lesson. So now you have your marching orders. You know what you need to do before next time. You need to make your separate subject foundation cards for each of the subjects within your core area. Now, I could ask you to make bib cards for each of the books that are in your reading plan, but you can make those as you come to them and as you're ready to start working on them. I don't want to overload you with more than is necessary because we are working on a minimalist plan. But you will find that those subject areas are very important to having a really well-working Zettelkasten that will help you with your study, with your knowledge building, and with your insights. And also, it's going to ease your mind as you place cards in your system. You will feel more anchored and, well, more like you have a foundation under you because you do. Now, there's a couple of things. I've given you a homework assignment that's kind of a little bit more lengthy again. You're going to be probably making between 9 to 12 new main cards. So I want to give you some time to be able to do that. So why don't we just count off 5 days and get back to it after that interval? That should give you plenty of time to do it. And while you're at it, I want you to pick up an extra supply. I'd like you to pick up some colored index cards in the same size as your cards that you're using in your system. I think most of you are using 4x6. I think some of you are saying that you want to use 3x5. But whatever size you're using, you want to get some colored index cards in the same size, because in the next lesson, we'll see where they come into use. So, okay, you got your marching orders. 5 days. That's not too bad. You should be able to accomplish it all in that length of time. And remember, we're really doing this now. If you don't have the books yet, research them, track them down, get a meaningful set in your reading plan ahead so that we can flesh out the subjects of the core areas. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.